So our next guest is Charity Shanae. She has Charity Lanier on the screen, but
Oh, I
her
didn't
her
even
pen
change
name,
that.
yeah, her
I
pen
should.
name is Charity Shanae, and Charity is with Black Odyssey Media, which is Entice's imprint, and we've had several authors on the show that are under the Black Odyssey Media umbrella. As a matter of fact, Entice will be at the National Black Book Festival. She normally brings a couple of her authors with her, but I don't know who she's bringing. And she's doing the seminar on how to turn a book into a film. So, Charity, you are an author, a lawyer, and a higher
Mhm.
education leader. And you also write fiction, apparently. So, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you, ladies. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for being here
We're
tonight.
we're doing well. So, um, Charity, give us some background. Now, you have a book coming out. I think the date got moved.
It's today.
It get
It came
oh,
out today.
it came out today. Okay,
Yes.
because what I
And what
had
is it
was
with Black Odyssey Media? They always have their authors come on the show
on the
on the
day.
exact day of their release day.
Well, see, I asked them to do that. So
Yeah, but
most
see, it's always very specific. I love it.
yeah, sometimes they're not available, but mostly they're available because we want them to get off to the best start with
Thank
letting people
you.
know that their book has come out and to boost their sales
Thank
right in that first week or two, first couple of weeks. So your book is actually a holiday book.
Yes. It's
So
they did a rash of Christmas releases today. So it's actually three of them on Black Odyssey. Mine is a novel Christmas.
okay, a
Love
novel
it.
Yeah.
Christmas. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's some other ones, and we're having some of the other authors on later in the next few weeks. So,
Okay.
how did you go from lawyer and higher education leader to fiction writer?
So, in undergrad, my major was English, and religion. So I've always had a passion for literature. I think what happened was, and that was years ago, my favorite class was Black Women Writers, and I took that at the University of Florida. And I was just enthralled with that class. I read every genre, and they were all by Black women writers. So, and I really appreciate that, but I never thought I could write. I wrote papers, they did well, because, once you make up your mind by like sixth grade, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I was going to law school, so that was the track that I was on, which I did. I went to law school. I did that, and then I became dean of a college. I started out as a program director of legal studies of law and then been a dean, and I've been a dean for 20 years. And I think COVID kind of just made a lot of us. I was stuck at home for a little bit during COVID. The school went where we
Okay.
were at home in school, and my employer may not like this, but when you work from home, you have more time. I mean, nobody works the whole 8 hours, and I don't care what anybody says. So, in that extra time, I decided, and I thought to myself, well, I've always wanted to write. Maybe I should try to write a book. And I just started. I mean, I literally just started freehand writing. And before I knew it, I had 85K and I had a story. And I was like, well, I'll pitch it, send it out and see if anybody will pick it. One of my favorite writers is Casey Mills, and she has her publishing company, KMP Publications. And I reached out to her, and never in 3 million years that I think her or anybody would respond, but they did. She reached out. We had a long conversation, and I wanted to do it. That was almost 3 years will be December when my first book came out. So I just made a change. I think it was just a passion that I already had, and I reached a point where I decided that I'm going to act on it, and that's just what I did.
Nice. So
Hmm.
you made a plan, you executed that plan, and then you saw it through.
Absolutely. It's
That's
not
the
a
way
true
I'm
plan
talking
if you
about.
don't do that. If you don't do that, you're just making hopes and wishes. Okay.
There
Yeah,
you
there is
go.
a big
Yeah.
difference between wishing and planning. You
Yes.
know, so and a lot of people are dreaming and planning. A lot
Absolutely.
of people are dreamers, but there's no execution. And
Yeah.
so without execution, a dream is just a dream. That's all it is.
And
And
if you do it and you get a no, you're just in the same spot. So why not just try for the yes, especially if it's something that you want. So,
Mhm.
That's true and very good advice. Now, I have a question. You said you took Black women writers in college.
mhm.
Which writers did that? Was it this one, like a one semester course?
Yeah, it was. My
Okay.
teacher, she was so profound, was Dr. Deidre Crumbley. She had wrote a Black womanist book about Black feminism. It was that. I think one of my favorite books was Dessa Rose. And it was about, it's when I first discovered historical fiction in a Black turn on it. So I've read historical fiction before, but that was the first time I kind of saw it besides Roots, and Roots is not fiction. So, we had the real books, but my first interaction with historical fiction was a book she assigned us, Dessa Rose. And when she took the life of a slave girl who she was her master would breed her and then would dig a hole and put her stomach in it, and an abolitionist, and she made a fictional story and made a meat. So that story was like one of my favorite stories, but we read every genre in that course. Before it started, we had a list of 25 books before you could even get into the course, and then you had to sit down with the professor and interview before you get led into the class. So
Oh, okay. Wow.
mhm.
Was this at the undergraduate level or
Yeah,
graduate?
undergraduate, University of Florida. Yeah, but it was a 4,000 level English class. So you had to be a senior and you had to read the reading list before you can get into the class.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sounds
That's
fun.
interesting.
It
I've been
was.
thinking about taking some classes. I just want to, brush up on my writing. I think it's always good for authors and future authors and even experienced authors to
Mhm.
take a class. There are a lot of things that we take for granted that we don't think
Absolutely.
about until we take a class like this.
Absolutely. It's never too late to learn. I say you should learn something new every day. So,
Absolutely. What is
mhm.
something that you learned in that class that you may not have thought about before or may have
Um,
surprised
just taking the voice that you have in writing. It's such a powerful voice, and books just can open you up to that. And again, those profound books that I read that did the historical fiction, I thought, and these are Black women taking our stories, retelling them, and giving us heroines that I hadn't seen before. So just being able to see that that's possible, it was very eye-opening for me. So I think that was the biggest thing, that you can rewrite history. I mean, you can do a lot with the pen. So.
You can
That's true.
create other worlds and all kinds of characters and places and situations, and you can determine the outcome of something. You can make someone a
Absolutely.
hero or a villain. You can just create all of that in fiction, which really is enjoyable to do. uh,
Hmm.
I like writing, but it just takes me a long time. So now you said you had your first book. This isn't your first book.
No, this is book
Okay.
number 26.
Oh,
But
you
this
did
is my
all that
first book,
right.
but this is my first book with Black Odyssey. So
Right,
yeah.
right. I know
Mhm.
that. But okay, you didn't write all these since COVID, did you?
Yes, I did that in
Oh
two and a
my
half years.
goodness.
Yeah. My head was
Okay.
full of stories.
Clearly. Now, are they all full-length novels or some of them novellas or
One, two, three. I have four novellas and the rest are full. I'm
Okay.
long-winded, and I literally, I'm long-winded, and my imagination is wild. My cousins would say growing up, I used to tell stories all the time. I told them I was developing my artistic mind back then, and I just didn't even know it. So listen, I still have a whole lot of stories up here. So I mean, I literally have notebooks all over my house where an idea would come to me. So I've just been lucky that they've been consistent. So I think that would be the day that my heart breaks, when I stop thinking of a story. So.
no, that's a lot of
So,
writing in a
so
short
you
time.
have notebooks all over the place. So no matter where you are, if an idea strikes, you're about to write it down.
Yeah, and if I'm out and don't have my notebook and my notes in my phone, it's ridiculous. So
I tell
yeah,
people that all the time. I use
yeah.
Yeah,
the notes in
I
my
use my
phone all
notes in
the
my phone.
time. Just
Yeah, if I'm
record
out,
myself talking.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I'm out and about, that I use the notes too. But
absolutely.
I have sticky notes in places everywhere too. Not necessarily for ideas. It's more things I need to do. And I
Oh
don't,
yeah.
in the next couple of days, and I need to, especially now where the National Black Book Festival is coming up. it's a lot of things I need to do.
Can
So I
imagine.
have to write them
Mhm.
down. But now all of your books through who did you self-publish or you indie or
I'm under KMP, Casey Mills Publications. Yeah, I'm
oh
under
okay.
KMP. Mm-hmm.
Oh okay. Okay. So the rest of them are under her.
Yes,
Okay.
under KMP. Mm-hmm.
So are they what genre would you consider them to be?
I'm gonna say, I would just say African American Black romance. So I may have a little suspense in the book, I may have a paranormal, but at the heart of every one of my book is gonna be Black love, no matter where I
Nice.
place it. So that will be in every story. So
We were just talking about love in books and with the last guest, Pat. And
mhm.
we were saying I was mentioning to her, she said she does not do any man bashing in her books. She wants a good story to be a good story without it having to include cheating or things like that. How do you look at relationships in your books?
So usually if it's my main character, the male one, the main one, he doesn't cheat, but the woman may have had past relationships where that happened to her. But
Mhm.
my male lead is never gonna be a cheater because I'm portraying Black love. So I typically will have a successful woman, a successful man. They may come from different walks of life or issues, but I'm always showing positive, strong Black relationships. My men love on their women, will do anything for them, and will go to hell and back for them. And that is what I portray because every Black woman needs to be loved that way, honey. So that's what I try to write.
Well, Casey Mills is watching and she commented and she said, and you dream about stories which you need to write, but your hands don't move fast enough.
And that's true because I would tell her when I have a dream, and she's like, "Well, you need to write that." And I'm like, "Well, I got 4 more ahead of that, so I got to make sure ahead of time." So I just make all of my notes and put it out there till I'm ready to write it. So
Okay, now are all of these books are any of them part of a series or are they standalones or
yeah,
are
the majority are standalones, but I do have 3 series. But other than that, they're standalones. Yes, and the 3 series are just 2 books apiece.
okay.
Yes,
That's a lot of writing
it
in
is. It
time. I'm
is.
amazed. But you're not the first person that has said that they had that many books in 4 years, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
so it's just that's just a lot of stories.
It
So
is.
so what are some of your other titles? Just give us a
Um,
couple. Do you have any of your other books handy? What did you
I didn't have them handy, but
okay.
I do. One of my popular books is my 180 series, and it's 180 and 182. I have my spousal privilege series, which is spousal privilege and justified privilege. And then I've created a fictional army base, and I have 2 stories in that, Under Love's Command and Absent Without Love.
I
Those are my
like that title,
popular.
Under Love's Command, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
thank
nice.
you. I should have brought my other books, but and then even with this Christmas book, I'm excited about A Novel Christmas. As I mentioned, sometimes my characters may be broken in a little piece, but they heal each other through love. That's kind of what happens in this one because it's a widowed firefighter and a African American fiction writer who has been tasked by her publishing company to write a holiday book because her sales aren't the best. And she has been adamant she's never going to do a holiday book, but her publishing company says, listen, your sales haven't been what they want, holiday sales. You are going to have to write me a holiday book. I need ideas in the next couple of months. And so she packs up her city life in Miami. She Googles the most Christmassy place in the world and finds Santa Claus, Indiana, and books an Airbnb and heads that way so she can get some Christmas inspiration. But she ends up finding this sexy fireman. So the widowed fireman in this little bitty town, Santa Claus, Indiana, which is real, and it's Christmas times 1,000 in the town. So
Okay, so you put a writer as your main character, and
yes,
then you found. Now, did you know about Christmas, Indiana before writing the book?
just like the author did in my book, I said, "Where's the most Christmas town in the world?" And Santa Claus, Indiana,
Okay,
popped up when I googled it. Yes.
okay, okay. Did you go
So,
visit it, or you just kind of research the town?
I researched it. It is so small. It's by Lincoln, Indiana, like another small town. It's very small, but it's popular because kids send their, I didn't know this, but their letters to Santa Claus to Santa Claus, Indiana.
Oh.
And the post and the people in the town actually volunteer every year and answer those letters and mail them off from their post office. So they've embraced their whole Christmas theme in the town. So,
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
mhm.
So I guess we have to read it to find out how the fireman gets there. Um, how he ends up in this little tiny town, tiny Christmas town. But that's now, did you name it A Novel Christmas, or did the publisher name it that? Because
It was,
it really does fit with the
yeah,
author's theme going through the storyline.
it was a collective effort. I gave 3 titles. This was my first choice, and thank God they picked that one. But I gave them a total of 3, and they settled on my first choice. So it was collective. I just thought it was just perfect because she's writing a Christmas novel. So
Right. It's really like a play on words.
yes.
Yeah. So, oh, and so now this is is this your first holiday themed book?
Oh no, so I've done last year with KMP, our group did Black Cowboys for Christmas. So we did a collection, Miller's Point Christmas, which is a Black cowboy town that we've created. So I did that. And then the year before we did a Crescent Falls Christmas in another town that we've created. So no, this is my third Christmas book actually. So I actually love writing holiday romances because it's Christmas. Who doesn't want to fall in love at Christmas?
Yeah, I love Christmas stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever read one.
Oh, well, you need to read a novel Christmas.
Yeah, you're right. I don't read a lot of romances.
I like Christmas
And
movies, I
so
should say, though. I like Christmas
Yeah.
movies, but I can imagine Christmas stories are pretty similar to a Christmas movie.
Yeah, a good one will make you feel like you're watching a movie. So it works
Yeah,
out. Mm-hmm.
give you all the
so,
feels.
Yeah.
so when you write a Christmas story, do you start it like is it a short window in terms of the timeline for the story? Does it like everything happens in that October to the Christmassy period, or
Yeah.
does it span longer and Christmas just ends up being a focal point with one of the arcs of the story?
I usually do it within a week or 2 of Christmas. So it's the leading up to the holiday, it's Christmas itself.
Okay.
Because if anybody's like me, I'm Christmas starting December 1st. So I try to do a week or 2 before Christmas where you get the characters leading up to it, the weather, the shopping sometimes, the family traditions. I'm really big on family. So a lot of times it's leading up to it. Because some people do stuff on Christmas Eve. And so it's typically for me a week or 2 before Christmas. A novel Christmas is the week of Christmas. She gets there on a Sunday, and I think Christmas is like Thursday, so it's doing Christmas week. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's a short timeline for the
Yes.
story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It takes place within a short period of time.
Yes.
Okay. So do you still practice law?
No, I mean, but that can never be taken away from me. So I got caught up in education. I went from teaching law and just fell in love with it. I still teach it to keep me, abreast of it. And I will lend my legal advice when needed, but my main focus has been education, higher education for the past 20 years. So
Nice.
being a dean of a college kind of allowed me to, my job as a dean is all compliance, which the legal background really helps on that. And then being able to
Okay.
teach the legal classes, it lets me have my dual passions of education and law at the same time.
Okay. So
Mhm.
when you got your law degree, did you pick a specialty of some kind of like
It was
area of
criminal defense. Criminal
criminal
defense.
defense?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So were you ever a public defender? Or were
Yeah,
you
that's actually
married?
what I interned my first year in law school. It's the best way to get the most experience is working in the public defender's office because you are 100 cases. So that was my first experience was in a PD's office.
Yeah, and plus it's a lot of different kinds of cases.
Yeah, you get a ride. You can go from the
Again,
most minimum in the morning to about late afternoon, something serious. Yeah, because they are definitely overworked and underpaid. So,
yes, they are. And
mhm.
and unfortunately for people who can't afford, separate legal counsel, a lot of those are played down just because of in the essence of time, just because the defender is overwhelmed with work, so they don't have time to try the cases like individually as much.
Yeah, and it also depends on the passion and heart of the PD. A lot of times they get a bad rep, but if you got one that ultimately really cares about their clients, you will have one that'll fight all the way. So it's not the department as a whole, it's truly the people's heart who's doing the job, as with anything, to be honest. So people, they get a bad name a lot of times, but a true PD who wants to beat the state every time and make sure that everybody gets a fair trial, they'll do their job to the utmost. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's the bad rap as far as I think it's more they're just overworked. I mean,
Oh
they're
yeah,
just
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
overwhelmed.
people
With the
assume, yeah.
caseload, you can only do
Mhm.
so much. There's only so many hours in a day, and you do have to sleep,
Mhm.
you know. So,
What
so
is sleep?
I, I commend people who take because that's not a high paying position,
No, it
and
isn't.
so I applaud people who are willing to do that, and even for a certain period of time, just
Yeah.
to help people. So, what do you see in terms of planning for your future books, in terms of your writing for the next year or two? What do you have on that?
Well,
On
I already have like 2 books that I've committed to doing. So they'll be coming out in the first of the year. It's so funny. I always set like a goal. I want to do 4 books this year, 5, and next thing I know it's 7 or something. But I have again a million stories. I've put some to the forefront, but to be honest, I can have that planned all out like I want to. But if I start writing it and I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna jump to the next one. So but I do have what I think my first 2 for the year planned out, which will be a sports romance and a second chance romance story. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's the beginning of the year. For the remainder of the year, I'm doing a Black romance project. And then I think I'm gonna do a Christmas short aside from this one, which is crazy, with one of my characters in my other book. So, but we'll see. But definitely the sports romance and second chance the beginning of the year. And then I have a couple of other ones that I want to do. I do want to dabble in historical fiction myself, but I don't know when I'll do that. So
That takes a
oh,
lot of dedication.
oh, that one does. But
and
I do
research.
also have, I forgot, I do have my second Black Odyssey book that'll be coming out next year, which is a legal suspense book. That will be coming
Oh,
out next year.
okay.
I finished that this year and it comes out next year. I don't know how I can forget about that. And it's called Malicious. So that'll be coming out next year.
Okay. So you have another book with Black Odyssey Media. So
Yes.
you had a 2 book deal with them?
Oh, it started off as one and then I got the second one, so they didn't come at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, when Mr. Shearer came up with the idea for the Christmas holiday romance stories, that's when I got in. And then after that, then I was offered the second book. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, that's a lot. So are you still writing with K&P too?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Let
So
me
do
put
you
this out here. KC Mills can't get rid of me. So I'm gonna put it so if this is recorded. This is recorded, so it's said, yes.
so she said you keep your book accurate from a legal aspect.
Oh
So
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. We're gonna have it right. And if it's anything legal in the book, it's gonna be right. Absolutely.
That's true, because if you're writing I mean you can make some things up in terms of
Snippets, yeah,
characters, but the law part of it,
Yeah,
you don't
you've got to
want
make
to
sure
have
that's right.
misinformation.
yeah.
If for no other reason, then somebody who knows the law is going to be reading your story and they're going to poke holes in your story if you don't know what you're talking about.
And that is me as a reader. So amen. That is me as a reader. So while we can be fiction, some things we just cannot fictionalize in a certain sense.
That's funny, but that
Yeah.
is true. You seem like you're one of the readers, kind of like me. When I'm reading something, I'll run across something and say, okay, this isn't accurate.
Yeah.
This, whatever the factually is not
Yeah.
accurate.
Right.
Some things you can make up, but some things you really
Yeah,
need to
you can't. Right.
need to be
It's a
accurate.
fine line. Yes.
It is. So I'm just congratulations on just being so prolific with your writing. Once you got it going, and did you have some books before you did the first book in during COVID, did you like already have some books in a can, like already written, and you just never like pull the trigger on them, or had them half written, or did you just like get out of the gate with and just took off like a racehorse
I mean,
and kept
I
going?
in college, when I was taking a Black Writers class, I wrote a book and printed it up on my brother word processor, and it floated around the dorm. So I don't really count that. So I have that. It kind of passed amongst the other students. But no, when I wrote this first book here, it was just out of the gate when I was like, I'm going to write a book. And then I just started thinking about it. And so once my mind went in, I'm going to write a book, ideas kept coming to me. And then, of course, I had a detailed dream. And when I woke up and remembered the dream, I was like, oh, yeah. It doesn't be like, when I say detail, I usually see like a scene here or there, and then I just paste it together. But I wrote down those key things like, oh, it's going to be like 2 or 3 scenes that I visualized. And I started writing. And of course, I thought it was the best thing in the world, but it wasn't. It needed a lot of revision. But my publisher worked with me and mentored me, and because I was an English major, so I write as such. And
Mhm.
so people don't want to read research papers; they want to read fictional
Right,
stories. So
right.
that I just had to adapt my voice to that, and that was easy. Just listening to her, listening to what the reader said and the editor, and then reading more myself. I always say
Mhm.
I have to if I'm going to write Black African American romance, I need to read a lot of those books too, because to make sure and I could hear it. But I think the best advice she gave me was when you finish it, listen to it. And it makes so much sense because if I wrote it, if I'm reading it, I'm going to self-correct what I see. But when I hear it, my brain won't let me self-correct it because that voice reading it back to me, I will hear the mistakes and hear the repetition of words or hear how choppy that sentence was. And so once I started listening to my writing, I was able to improvement. But I think with each book I improve, and that's the goal. So my first book probably cringe a little bit probably if I read it, but that's the goal. If you're not improving as you write, then I mean that's with anything that you do. You want to improve at each way you go.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're at the end of our time. So Charity, if you can let people know your website if you have one, and then
Mhm.
how people can connect with you on social media.
All right, so most of my books are ebooks on Amazon, but the actual paperbacks are on my website, which is www.authorcharityshanae.com. And I'm everywhere on social media as Author Charity Shanae. So that's on
Okay.
Facebook, that's on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Author Charity Shanae. It just makes it very easy to find me.
Okay.
And that's why my website is authorcharityshanae.com as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, we put your website in the chat. So
Okay,
everybody,
perfect.
y'all know what to do. Get out there
Yeah.
and support these books.
Yes, and today, please go pick up A Novel Christmas. It's on Audible, it's on paperback, and it's on Amazon ebook, so you can get it for your Kindle. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download it with your subscription. So
Okay. Well, thank you
Good
so much, and
reminder.
congratulations on Pup Day.
thank you guys so much. I had a blast.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.